All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our regular city council meeting. It's Tuesday, September 7th, 2024, September 17th, 2024. We started out tonight with a work session to review an update in upcoming citywide survey. So good discussion. We'll start out tonight with our roll call. Amy?
Mayor Allen?
Here.
Here. Councilmember Zishan?
Here.
Here. Councilmember West?
Here.
Councilmember
Here.
Okay, everybody's here. Thank you very much. Council members, just remember we're broadcasting, so please speak loud into your microphones and so everybody at home can hear us. Okay, let's move on. Item number 3, our Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll all rise and repeat the pledge with me, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Thank you for that Pledge of Allegiance. I appreciate that. We welcome all with us today in the audience. Yes, we have a great crowd, so thank you for coming. Let's move on to item number 5, consent items. Anybody opposed to any of those items? Any changes on the agenda or changes to the meeting minutes? Seeing none, we'll approve those by general consent. Thank you very much. Item number 6 is citizen comments. Would anybody like to step up to the?
You have to say something.
I wasn't going to say anything, but.
We're gonna have everybody step up today.
Okay, Amy from the Methodist Church. Just the only thing we have going on this month then is in 2 weekends, we'll have the community rummage sale. And I've posted something on the community Facebook page about that. So just so you're all aware, all of the proceeds for that rummage sale, which will be Friday and Saturday, I think it's the 26th and 27th. All of the proceeds for that will go to next year's school supply fund. So we encourage you, you're welcome to bring your stuff during the week if you'd like. From 10 to 2, I will be there helping to set up. And then of course on Friday and Saturday as well. So that's all I've got to report.
Good. Okay, thank you. Love the rummage sale. Love it. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you very much. Let's move on to Jill.
There's just a lot of passion about rummage sale.
That's right. All right. Let's move on to new business. Item number 7.1. Presentation, Utah League of Cities and Towns Annual Convention Recap. We've just asked a couple of council members that attended those meetings to just give brief recaps and just kind of a takeaway from the convention. So just short. So I don't know who wants to start because we might double up. So if you speak first. Okay, let Cheryl speak first and then we'll go to Jeff and then Michael. Yeah.
Well, it was a very, very worthwhile convention to attend. A lot of the sessions were extremely valuable for information there. I also really enjoyed the keynote speaker, which was Jim Craig, who was on the 1980s Olympic gold medal winning team. He had tons of wonderful quotes that I really appreciated. And one that I thought I would share with us here is this one. Either you are creating the future or you are living in the past. And I think that's something that we can think about as a council, that we are working very hard to create our future for a great city here and not going to be concentrating on the past. But I'll focus on one of the breakout sessions that I attended called Navigating Emergency Communications. And I chose to attend this one because I was here when the tornado came through. And that was probably one of the greatest emergency situations as far as on scale of what we've had to deal with our city. And in this one, they had a panel of people that were from both Woodland Hills, the Woodland Hills fire, the machine gun fire, and Panguitch with the dam that was the concern of it breaking there. And they talked with these, they talked as panelists about their own city's emergency communication systems there. And things that were my big takeaway from this were, the first thing they said is build your emergency response plan in blue skies time, which is now for us. We definitely need to take the time now so that when emergencies come about, we have those in place. And they said, make sure you have a flow chart, who will be contacted and in what order that would happen. Using social media to our best advantage. They found that that was so important. And it says, build up your social media outreach program and in cell phone use there as well. They also talked about using leaflets describing an evacuation process. I wondered if our city has a good evacuation process set up there. And I talked with Tom Hansen about our communications officer, who is our communications officer. And on all of these areas, they said it's so important to have one person who is the communications officer so that the public is not getting information from a lot of different sources and getting different information, but you have one person that is the constant that they can rely on getting information through. So as we move forward in our own city, I know that we have some emergency response plan things already in place, but it's been a while since we've taken a look at it as Tom Hansen and I discussed this. But this is something that I think we need to, as a city, take a look at again and make sure that we're ready to address any emergencies up and coming. One last thing that they mentioned which was great, is the 4 C's. They said communication, coordination, cooperation, and collaboration are the important things that need to be addressed as we are looking at emergencies. That's it.
Great. Thanks, Chair. Jeff?
Yeah, so I had those same notes, but I left those at home. So let me tell you some of the things that take away that I think is great is they do have guest speakers. Jim Craig was fantastic, a lot of good information, but also the other people that you meet, the other cities, the other administrators. There is a huge support network that people probably don't realize that there is a league of cities and towns at the local level here in Utah. That was who put on this convention, but also there's a national league of towns and municipalities, and they are there to support us so that as we try to manage the challenges and opportunities we have within the city, we have other people that we can rely on. Taking that to the next step, in times when we have breakout sessions or meal breaks, I met with a few people, a council member from the city of Providence, Cache Valley. And we got talking about housing and how there are mandates coming down from the state on housing and how that affects their community, how it affects ours. And we're a little bit landlocked here. They have about the same population, but their city is much bigger because it's very rural. So now they're faced with building these high density housing, and the residents don't like that too much up there in the farming community of Providence. So we had some good conversations to know that we're not the only ones faced with these challenges. Talked to South Ogden, our neighbor over here, talked generally about things that are going on in their city, how they compare to ours. And also council member from the city of Tintic, you know where that is. So it's great to get to know those people and talk a little bit about it. There was a lady from South Jordan, and she is actually kind of in charge of events. Now, South Jordan is a larger city, so they have actual person that is assigned one of the roles that Carlos fills here in our city. And she focuses on events and communications and so forth. And I just wanted to share a couple of notes that I wrote down from her. She says, when you're planning something or putting something together, first principle is find your ideal. What is the best for the city? Lead with vision, and then plan for prosperity. I kind of like those 3. good conference.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that.
Okay, so one of the classes I went to was talking about on Get Healthy Utah. It's got a lot of grant money that's tied to that. And we could actually start utilizing some of the things that are used at Rummer Park that we plan on incorporating the trail that connects down to Riverdale and different things like that. And we've got to do a few simple things and we can be getting extra grant money to help out with more parks and making our city healthier. Another class that I took, it was like I was in college again. I felt like I needed to go back and read the book called Anatomy of Peace, because it was talking about how to work better as a council and staff, but also the way we work with our citizens as well. And so something I'd like to challenge everybody to do as well is to read over that book. And then I talked with some members of other cities that talked about how their city councils, even though they have staff, some of their assignments were actually to go to some of the staff meetings, not to take over the staff meetings, but to have an understanding of what's going on with the staff, so that, because we're kind of supposed to be that bridge between staff and the citizens to answer some of those questions. And so just to shadow those meetings and be involved in that way. And then I met with a member of the city council up in North Logan, because I talked about how they did their city days, and I asked them why they decided to do a 1 day instead of a 2 day. And they actually said, one, it was off of surveys, but two, they had their youth council highly involved in it. And they recommended that we work on getting a youth council here, because their city days were actually more ran off of the youth council than it was actually anybody else. And so it was geared that way. And then, of course, the housing issues that are going on, multiple cities are faced with different challenges, and some of them have became creative with detached accessory dwelling units. And unfortunately, our city's not big enough to do that. So, and that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate those council members that attended, took time away and attended, because there were a lot of good classes, right? And I learned a couple things. I've probably been to probably almost 50 of those conferences now over the years, but I went to how to run an effective meeting, and I learned a couple things. So we're going to speed this up a little bit. So Amy, my suggestion is on consent items. Instead of putting 5.1 and 5.2, just put a dot there in front of them, and it's just one item. So be prepared if you have any agenda items that need to be changed or corrected, or if staff, if you have any, or I mean, any meeting minutes, and staff, if you have any agenda items that need to be taken off or added on or something, let me know quickly, because we'll just zip right through that and just have it as one item and go right through there. But actually learned a lot in that class. It's been talked about, affordable housing, is there really no such thing. I guess there's available housing, and how do we help there? And I think as a city, we do a great job. We do what we can with infill and stuff like that. Networking, you're always meeting somebody, you're always sitting next to somebody who's from somewhere, and you look at their badge and you start comparing notes. So it's just so helpful. I know Cheryl and I went to a class that I was just amazed at, of how complicated the state legislative process is. Right, Cheryl?
Mhm.
Thank goodness we have the League of Cities and Towns as our watchmen or something, our lobbyists to help. Shouldn't say this because Senator Milner is going to be all over me, or somebody's our lobbyists to protect us from that legislative process. It's wild. I told Cheryl I wanted to ask a question of, I've kind of heard a rumor that every legislator is required to, sponsor at least 3 bills. And I'm glad I didn't ask the question, because after I thought of that, they put a slide up and said, here's all the bills that all these legislators sponsored already. And it's not even, we're not even into January yet. And I'll tell you, there was not one legislator that had less than 3. And some of them had 36, 25, 20. So they're up to over 400 right now already. And the league is already looking into those and screening those and making sure that, they're not crazy ones, that will affect us. So I'm grateful for the Utah League of Cities and Towns to be our advocates and to help us on Capitol Hill. So, but you learn something new every time you go. It's just fun and exciting. So appreciate those that gave the recap and it just really is well worth it. So Tom was there and he meets and then he goes in with city managers and they have classes and everybody learns something. So it's great. So I appreciate Tom taking a few days down there and spending with us and learning. So thank you. So appreciate that very much. Tom, I guess if you have anything, you can give it an administration report. If you had anything.
I don't have anything specifically to add to that, other than that, I felt like it was pretty substantive this year, where they were able to put it into 2 days and we got a lot of work done.
Yeah.
And I did find it to be really helpful and terrific. And one of the things is as we create the future, and the future is challenging, it's difficult, we can be safe living in the past. Jim Craig, if we're looking towards the future and what we need to be doing, we can apply some effort and some struggle with that. Thus kind of that outcome of why we're working with the survey. What does our future need to look like? How can we best communicate with our residents on moving forward in a good way to support the stakeholders of Washington Terrace? So that's my brief.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Let's move on to item 7.2, motion/resolution 24-14, a resolution amending the policy and procedures manual, clarifying a few things. Also, if you notice on there, adding policy to the diving while conducting city business. So council members, no diving when,
We have a swim team? No.
yeah, it's like, I don't know, in the swimming pool, but
Right.
yeah, sorry. I read further and I was so disappointed. It was driving while conducting city business instead of diving. I thought we were getting an Olympic diving
I
team or
thought
something.
Great Salt Lake was getting more water.
Yeah, getting right close to us. Okay, great. Amy, you probably want to handle this, don't you? Okay,
Sure,
let's go.
Try to, everything's in your packet, but I'll try to go through a few things. So as laws change or policies are reviewed, we'll bring back clarifications or amendments to our policy for your consideration. And most of them are technical or just clarifications on existing policies that we have, and we just want to tweak a little bit once we start looking at them. And so I'll just briefly touch on a few of them for you. There is a new policy actually that we're required by state law to have, and that is the sex-based compliance plan. So this plan requires that employees report any complaints that they receive concerning criminal conduct in any privacy areas that we have in city facilities. It also outlines requirements for future construction of public facilities to include single stall restrooms and possibly modifying our current facilities to accommodate privacy protections. So I think they're just asking to see if it's feasible to change that, but any construction moving forward that's a city building or a public facility will have to have at least one single stall restroom. So we could have a women's bathroom, a men's bathroom, but there has to be at least one that's single stall, like I think they call them family units or something like that. So that is as of May 2024. So we'll have to do that and work that into any plans that we have coming up. And then, so this is law HB 257 that was passed. And so we're required to make all employees aware of this plan. And so that's why it's in our employee policy manual and not just its own separate plan. So are there any questions on that bill or, yeah?
Is there then going to be the need to do remodeling to be able to address that? Because most of the buildings may not have access to that the
Right.
state, obviously, if they're already in existence. So do we know if that is going to be required at some point?
Do you want to answer? So right now, it's not, I talked to Bill about this, it's not required. They just asked that we look to see if we can do it. So like a modification maybe could be if we have like a restroom here and there's 3 stalls in there, we could build one up to the top in the center and have a private door going in there, but I don't think that's feasible. So we just have to look and see if there's a way to make it feasible. But moving forward, we'd have to have at least one single stall.
In the renovation, it would come down to reasonable accommodation. And with our configuration in our public facing spaces, there is not a reasonable accommodation that we would be able to make.
Jeff?
So along this topic for future build out, when we look at the next phase of Roman Park, that restroom must have a single stall.
Yeah.
Restroom.
Or it can have just 2 single units
Or sure, yeah.
and can just a restroom.
Yeah, and I've seen that a lot in newer buildings. It's unisex and it's just a one single.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 big things that bill affects us, is that future bill. And then also, I think the employees would do this anyway, but if there are any complaints or something happening in a public restroom, that they would report that to the sheriff. So, so that is that part of it. And then just other changes in the manual include adding that backing policy to our driving policy. So that was requested by our insurance company. And that was like just a 2-liner that if there's 2 people in the vehicle, if it's feasible, one can get out on spot. And if there's only one person, that they walk around and make sure that they be able to back up safely. The Public Works Department and Fire Department already have their own backing policies that are a little bit more, I don't want to say restrictive, but they're a little bit more than that. So that's great. So they have to abide by their own policies there. And then clarifications is the leave without pay that we added in several places just for cross-referencing. We're not changing any policy. We're just making it more visible so that people are sure of what the parameters are for leave without pay. And also that they know that any benefits are prorated to the proportion of the number of hours worked. So if someone's on leave without pay for the 2-week period, the whole 2-week period, they wouldn't have any benefits during that time. If they work half the time, then any benefits they have would be prorated to that, to the they work. And so we just want to put that in the manual just so it's clear. Like I said, we didn't change anything with that. We just made it in more visible spots. And then the last one is my mistake. So last year when we changed the policy to add stipend dates, holiday stipend pay for the fire department, I think I used the wrong draft at that time. And so it said that we did the day after Thanksgiving, and that was incorrect. So we're just taking that out and putting in New Year's, which is what it should have been. So that was just making that correction so that even though we were using that policy this way, Sheree has that approved form and she can do that accordingly. So that's really all.
That's it?
Changes this time, yep.
That's the changes. Any questions?
I did have one question on the leave without pay,
Yes.
the new terminology that was put in here.
Yeah.
It says if hours are reported during the time period in which leave without pay is used. I don't understand how you can have hours reported if you're on leave without pay.
Oh.
And then
I
it
bet,
says
like, yeah.
that the holiday pay may be paid in proportion to the number of hours worked. To me, that was contradictory. How do you have hours worked if you're on leave without pay?
But you could work 5 days and then take 3 days leave without pay. And so during that pay period, your benefits would be on the other 4 days that you worked and then 3 days. The
I
3 days
figured you
without pay.
have it understood there,
Yeah,
but to me,
yeah,
it was confusing
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, if they're totally on leave without pay for a full pay period, they wouldn't receive any benefits. But, some people, they might work 1 week and then something happens and they have to leave, emergency or something, and they don't have any leave to use. And that was nothing we put in there to clarify. You have to use your sick leave and your vacation leave. and your comp time leave, if
Mhm.
you have it,
Mhm.
before you can go on leave without pay. And then there's a process. We have forms that have to be approved by the department head and by Tom to do that, and then they can go on leave without pay for that time. So if they don't work any hours, they won't have any benefits. And if there's a holiday that falls in there, they don't get that paid. But if they work, like half the time, like I said, if they work 5 days and then the other 5 days they don't work, they would only receive half their prorated benefits. I don't know.
I
if
know
that
you've
makes
got it
sense.
figured out, so.
Yeah, well, Sheree does. Sheree is like, the mastermind in that, but that's kind of where that falls in there. So, just so there's not, like, if someone's leave without pay and there's a holiday in there, they don't think that they're getting holiday pay when they haven't worked it. So, and that's how our sick leave and annual leave work as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
That's-
Any other questions on those couple of items to update? Great, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 24-14.
I move to amend the policy and procedure manual on 24-14 as has been explained.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 24-14. Any further discussion, council? Seeing none, roll call, Amy?
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Christiansen,
Yes.
Councilmember Shan,
Yes.
Councilmember Parkinson,
Yes.
Councilmember West.
Yes.
Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Amy, for all your work on that. Council communication with staff. Jill?
None.
Lot of quiet tonight. Z?
Got a couple of messages about the incident that happened in Romer Park. And a couple of citizens were kind of upset that we are taking down the other restrooms that we have. They're like, crime's gonna happen, police is gonna catch the criminals and law's gonna punish them, but why is the city punishing the citizens by taking away the restrooms? Do we have like a official stance? Why we're trying to protect those properties as well. But at the same time, we're taking away the opportunity for the people to use them, so.
Yep.
Just to keep that in mind, like people were very appreciative of that and they were using it. So I know we're taking it out, but in future, but what I am learning from this process is that people are using those and they were helpful, so something to keep in mind.
Quick question related with that is, were we not going to be removing them 1st of October? Was it the end of October? I cannot remember what we had determined at that point.
Yeah,
Because
right in there. We were gonna
as if it
pull them
was
out
the
at the end
first
of
of
the season.
October, basically it's just a little early and in response
Something
to
like that,
this. And I think you hit it on the nose, is it's, we did not at the time know who it was, and was this going to be a serial type attack on them? And if you saw one, was it gonna go to another? So I think there was some value in the decision making, but I love that you said that people are responding saying, hey, we liked having it there. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it would, the communication we had with council at the time was, let's see how they work. Let's see how the vandalism goes and see if they're gonna work out. And the vandalism got a little carried away with that one. But yeah, so we did end up pulling them to avoid having to buy more more portable restrooms. We felt, yeah, but burn it to the ground, quite literally. And that's why we can't have nice things around here, kids. That's why we can't have this and this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a sad.
It's
sad thing.
unfortunate.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Z?
No, that's it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Cheryl, anything?
Appreciation expressed to the fire department and the police department for their quick response on the event that happened there in Romer. And the follow-up, thank you, Tom, for your following through with that so that those that were responsible were identified and can now be dealt with appropriately. I did have another comment about question on that 5700 situation with the trucks and cars parked along there. I know that there's been things looked into it. Do we have any update on what's happening with that situation?
We have not had, we have not sat down with staff yet to rewrite or to work on ordinance language that could address that particular type of problem throughout the city. It's not isolated to just the excessive parking for a business at 5700 South, but is throughout several areas of the city, and we lack the ordinance to be able to enforce that the way we need to. So we'll be working with the prosecutor and the sheriff, our team at the sheriff's department, and with Martin on working on some code to firm that up.
So you're telling me that you believe the way that we have to address it is going to be through an ordinance?
Yes,
Wow.
yeah, because the way it's written doesn't give us clear authority. We would prefer to be able to just say, we would appreciate you not parking your, storing your business vehicles on the road, in your neighborhood. That request has not been granted. So we're gonna have to find a way, unfortunately, rather than encourage and persuade, we'll have to require a change of law.
As Mayor and I were discussing this issue yesterday, we were talking about that there are perhaps some businesses who their terrace property, their homes may not have off-street parking for a vehicle that may be a business vehicle. And the importance of saying, well, we don't want to jeopardize them from being able to be prosperous in their business. And yet we also want to look at safety issues such as a vehicle that might block the view of someone pulling out of their driveway and being safe in that way, or in this case, limiting the size of the street for things. And so I think that's important to look at as you're contemplating how to write that ordinance.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
We historically, we have not had a problem with someone who has like a pickup truck that has a banner that says, ABC Electric, something like that. The challenge we're getting is when someone brings that pickup truck with a box trailer and that's what's parked on the road, whether it's there or somewhere else. It is a challenge, and we do recognize that if someone, let's say there's a handyman, has his tools of his trade in that, handy person that has their tools in their little box trailer or their big box trailer. Those can be a challenge, especially when they're parked on the road every night. Right now, the way the code is written is that if it moves every day, we can't care because it's moved every day. It's even though it comes back every night, we don't have the language in there to identify that and to prosecute that correctly, because it is criminal. And so we have to look at how we manage those things on a criminal basis.
Currently, is it a safety issue? I actually don't know.
There's a couple levels. One is safety and just the cumbersome nature of large equipment parked in the roadways and the general look and feel of the neighborhood, whether it's there, the 5700 South situation or others.
Okay.
Just part of
Because if it's just look and feel, like whatever action we take is the person that we're literally changing the city code for. Aren't they gonna feel targeted? Like,
yeah, it's for all over the community. It wouldn't be just that one incident. This particular situation is one that's risen it,
right,
but that tide will raise all boats. We've got other areas
Right.
where they have their trailers stored on the street that they rent. There's others that have had, other construction equipment in their houses or at their houses on the road. It's not just for them, but this has increased the optics on saying, look, we need to deal with this, whether it's for that situation or others throughout the area. I had a resident over just west of the fire station, come to me today. He's like, we have got cars parked on both sides of the roads all through this neighborhood consistently, and it's down to one lane of traffic. You
Okay.
add on to that box trailer environment where the larger ones they're trying to get a full 8-foot wide box. You know, whether it's to put another vehicle in or to put as much of their equipment and tools in, that it just becomes kind of a nuisance in the area. So good question.
Okay.
Yes, it has, the optics have drawn attention to this environment, but it's certainly not isolated to just that one.
Okay, good.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
And the number one concern that has been brought to me is that safety issue of that narrowing of the road and trying to get just one car through and then the visibility of being able to see the concerns there. That has been their number one concern, not the
Sure.
aesthetics of the neighborhood.
Yeah,
but the
like
concern.
when safety is a concern, of course, we have to take actions, but I just wanted to make sure, like, we don't want anyone to feel targeted just because of look and feel. And that's a business, but I understand, just making sure.
No worries.
In this particular situation, Z, it's kind of an unusual situation. Cars are parked a block and a half away from their home. And sometimes there are up to 3 trucks with 3 trailers parked there on the road, down the road. So it's just upsetting neighbors, you know, to see that. And why do we allow on a public road a business to have their whole fleet of trucks and trailers just parked out on a public road? Like I say, so it's kind of annoying to some people that drive by that every single day, so. But there is a size thing on the, you know, if it's
Yeah, like,
size and length, like 14,000 pounds and larger than 7 feet and longer than 30 feet is not allowed or something, but you know, these are smaller
Yeah.
vehicles and so I don't know, it's a tough one.
They're in the gap.
Yeah, they're in the gap, right. And
They're in
like,
the gap.
and as Cheryl said about restrooms, they'll be removed soon. Well, December 1st, it'll be winter parking and they'll be off the road anyway. So, right, then we have a whole nother problem for the sheriff department, get off-street parking for winter time. And I hope we get so much snow that it's worth taking every single car off the road again, so.
Not just because of the cars, right?
No.
Because we need the water.
No, just,
No.
no, not because of cars, because we need water and we need snow, so I'm excited. I think it's gonna be another good one, so, okay. Jeff, anything?
nothing additional today. No.
Okay, Michael?
For me, it's just echoing the whole restrooms. I had a few different people reach out and they were upset because they were highly used, like specific areas, and they're hoping that this one incident doesn't stop us from doing it again next year. Because I reiterated they were gonna go away in a month or two. They weren't gonna be there all winter and whatnot, but they're hoping that this doesn't stop us from doing it again next year. Because
Thank you.
I explained the cost of building restrooms is about $500,000 per park.
Mhm.
So this was a cheaper solution and they hope we keep with the cheap solution.
Plus the maintenance, the ongoing maintenance. They have, honestly, I haven't had any, I don't know if you've heard anything, Amy, but I haven't heard any feedback that they've been really a problem. Other than burning of the house.
Yeah.
Our new theme song at City Hall is Burning Down the House, by the way, in case any of you guys didn't know.
I thought it was the roof was on fire.
That too.
Yeah,
So
it's a,
yeah, they've actually worked out really well until
yeah,
they didn't. But
yeah. And,
yeah.
and it was a sad situation and luckily, you know, we've caught him and it wasn't a serial thing. That's what we were really afraid of, is it, wow, that looks so cool. Do it again tomorrow night
Yeah,
and the next night and
Copycats.
copycats. And if we didn't catch them, we'd be on the hook. So
That's
now
right.
at least we may get reimbursed for them. So,
Follow-up question, actually, that, like, so they are caught, they're.
oh yeah, Tom, will you
apprehended?
give us an update?
You
in
bet, I
here?
can do an update now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, let's go
so
to,
my question was like, do we get the money back? That's my main question, do we get the money back?
that's the big question. Let's
We
go to
actually-
administration report. Are
Okay,
you done?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, administration reports. Tom, a
Okay.
lot to report on, like road construction, bathrooms,
Okay.
hit them all.
Okay. We
Okay,
can. Things are going really well on 300 West. They've got, their first layer of asphalt, in. From what I heard in staff meeting today, it is rolling along. They'll be putting their second layer of asphalt on 300 West, this week. That it should wrap up that and work on collars, the concrete collars that go around all of the manholes and water valves and things. They'll get done that, and we're anticipating no later than the end of the month. So that was our goal by October, and we're, you know, knock on wood, that they're really making some nice progress on that. We appreciate people's patience through this, being awake during their own surgery, but it has gone really quite. That's what it is. It's a metaphor. It's like being awake during your own surgery. It's painful, and it will stop hurting once. It'll feel better when it stops hurting.
that's right.
Okay. So things are moving along there. Let me think. Restrooms. Okay, so the restroom, the outhouse vandalism. We posted a very short clip on Facebook to get the message out that we were looking for these people. And it took, within 2 hours, they had 2 of the people identified. And the third, we have address, phone number, and name for that individual. So and the community helped identify who they were. To that point, it was a stupid decision by some adult young men who just a bad day, bad timing, bad choice. So we are turning it over to the city prosecutor / county prosecutor, and we'll be going through the court to determine where that will land. And so they will be prosecuted as adults and move forward accordingly. I did a little update on our Facebook page, just indicating that we did identify who they were, thank them for their help, and we'll be, you know, basically as far as that environment, that's closed. Because it went on social media, it stays on social media. Part of me would like to just pull it back now that we have them identified. That part's done. But because it's on a social media platform, it has to stay there for the record. But we very intentionally did not include any of the flame or any of the sensational components of that, because that's for the court. That's not for the court of public opinion, whether they're guilty or not. It is not for Facebook to decide, but the court will decide and accordingly. So it was very obvious what the cause and effect was, and yeah, they screwed up. But the fire department did a great job getting that taken care of, and it was not noticed until quite a bit, till the outhouse was, or portable bathroom was totally involved, because it was such a small flame. But as soon as, and it was interesting how it just kind of melted down, collapsed, and then the flame started pretty good. But it could have gone there smoldering for quite a while before it really kicked in. So that's where we're at on that.
do we get our money back?
We will go for restitution. We will be working on restitution.
Good news, all right.
That would be part of the discussion, and it looks as though that will be a very likely scenario. Restitution is always very clunky, but in this case, we may be able to streamline it and even, well, we'll work on some restitution on that and we'll get back to you on how that's gonna work out. But we have other situations where people have an accident in a park, they run through a fence or they hit a pole or do the thing. And we work on some restitution as the city, just directly with the person that may have had an accident. And we've been more successful having restitution with that than we have with restitution going through the courts and all of that, because that becomes cumbersome. But when we're dealing with just a family, we got 3 individuals, we'll be around probably $3 grand on this and get it, say, hey, team, let's get this paid for. That might look good when you go to court for felony arson. I don't know, just a thought. So we'll see. We'll work on it on the.
If they want to buy one for each park, we'll go easy.
I'm not gonna suggest what that looks like.
Sponsor provided by.
Arsons.
Talk about the optics on that. Okay.
Wow.
So,
Trying to save money here, guys.
Good idea.
hey, I think, any other questions for me?
Well, a comment on that, there is some good news in this, that the cameras, the security cameras that we have in place did give us the opportunity to catch those vandals. Because there was some chatter on that. Well, why doesn't the city have cameras down there? Well, they do. And that helped in remedying the situation, so.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, great.
The cameras are very widespread throughout the city. They are a public camera in a public environment. That is part of public infrastructure. Assume no privacy in a public environment. Yes.
Okay.
That's the way it is.
All right, great.
Good.
Anything else, Tom?
No, I think that'll
Okay,
wrap it up.
exciting. And I hear the parking lot down at Earl Park is going very well.
It is.
Maybe-
They've had a rough spot with
Yeah.
soft spots down there, but
Maybe one more week.
Yep,
Okay.
that'll be a wrap down there. Thanks for the
Good.
question.
Okay, great. Let's look at upcoming events, Planning Commission meeting, 26th. Yes. Or put that in ink on your calendar. Okay, great. October 1st, City Council work session at 5, City Council meeting at 6. October 14th, city officers are closed in observance of Indigenous Peoples and Columbus Day holiday. October 15th, City Council meeting at 6. And then tentative Planning Commission meeting on October 24th. So look forward to all those meetings coming up in October. So thank you. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, it is necessary for us to adjourn into a closed meeting to discuss regarding security, personnel, devices, and systems. So at this time, would like to entertain a motion to adjourn to a closed session.
A motion to adjourn to a closed session.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We will move into a closed session. We do need a roll call vote. I thought everybody did that. Okay, roll call vote, Amy.
Yes.
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 Okay, thank you all for that. Thank you, Amy, for being so official on that. Just to let everybody know, we will be in the closed session. We will come out of the closed session and not do any action at all, except for adjourn the entire meeting. So thank you, everybody, for